when looking at codes and conventions of a film, you don't only have to look at the things you have to show within the film opening, like the establishing the plot, establishing characters, time and setting, and stuff like that. You also have to think of the codes and conventions you've got to show throughout your film. So then I researched into other conventions of social realism films, as social realism is our genre for our film opening. I looked into conventions like stereotypes, shot types, lighting, sound, and so on. And through looking at them, researching them, and seeing how we've done the conventions, I figured out how we use, developed, and challenged them to see if how we have used these conventions if our social realism film will be successful. The first convention I looked at was stereotypes, and I researched into social realism films like Kidulthood, Shanks, Sket, and more, and I have found that conventions of stereotypes within social realism films are usually that the main character is a boy, there are violent scenes, and there are always young people. These are the main stereotypes you will come across. Of course, we have used these conventions as our main character and the other characters in our film opening are really young. We've done this because if we had old characters, we would be moving away from our genre, which will not make it very successful, and people will not know that it's a social realism genre film. We then developed these conventions and we have shown that a violent situation has happened, but we didn't actually show the violent scene, so then people are left wondering what has actually happened to this character. And we have certainly challenged the stereotypes of only using males as the main characters, as our main character is a female. This will hopefully hook the audience as it has not been done before, and then hopefully they want to watch on as they will see social realism films and different kind of consequences from your actions in a female way in that kind of film. I then researched into the lighting in social realism films, and I found that lighting in social realism films are always dark and gritty and very dim and low. We use these conventions throughout our film opening as the lighting is very dark and gritty. We kept the lighting scheme the same throughout our film opening as it looks effective, and I believe it fits our genre perfectly. I then researched into shot types in social realism films. There was not a lot of different shot types in social realism films I found, but one thing I did find is that a lot of them use establishing shots to show a dark, gritty area and run-down settings. We have challenged these conventions, I believe, as we do not use any establishing shots within our opening. Instead, the main kind of shot we use is really close-up shots to show our character in a lot of different ways and different situations. So I believe we have challenged the conventions of shot types in social realism films. The colour in social realism films are always dark, and they are real life colours. They do not edit the colours in any way whatsoever. We have used these conventions as the colour throughout our film opening are dark, and we then begin to develop these conventions as we slightly edit the colour to make it slightly darker and grittier. When also researching in social realism films, I found that not one social realism films have put in any black and white scenes, but we have a flashback in black and white, and that is how we have challenged the conventions of colour in social realism films. When researching editing in social realism films, I found there is general basic editing in them, and they usually show characters in the gang through editing, and they edit fast-paced, intense sequences, but that is usually the only times they edit. We have used editing to show our main character as we focus on her. She's in every minute of our opening, and we have challenged these conventions as we have done cross-cutting between time periods, happy and sad emotions, and also loneliness, and then being with a group of friends. This is not really seen in social realism films, usually. Mise-en-scène consists of sound, lighting, costume, characters and props. I have already stated how we have used sound and lighting, so all that is left is costume and props. In social realism, the characters are always young teens in gangs. So I found that the costumes are usually casual wear which consist of hoodies, trainers, jeans, hats, etc. We have obviously used these stereotypes as our character is seen in both a full tracksuit and also jeans and a hoodie. The props used in social realism films are usually school equipment as they are young teens, so this will also include drugs and weapons. We have used this as our character carries around a school rucksack with her everywhere, and maybe there are possibly drugs inside. Music and sound. Sound and music in films are categorised into diegetic and non-diegetic sounds. Diegetic sounds are the real sounds, and we have used these from the bag slam and the breathing. Non-diegetic sound is sound added whilst editing, and this is our music. Titles. The film and job titles in social realism films are always clear, prominent, well thought of. Names and colours are usually the same. When deciding what title to put in our film opening, we researched into This Is England and looked at the titles they used in their opening, what titles they included, and also what jobs. This helped us to decide what titles to use in our film opening. As they are the same genre, so we will have basically the same titles. We used the same jobs and titles, but we changed the layout. In This Is England, the titles appeared all together in one go, but we separated ours and they came in from each side of the screen. Also, in This Is England, the titles were just white. We changed ours to both red and white as we feel it suits the genre better and looks more effective. Opening of a film. In the opening of a social realism film, you always meet the character, see titles, establish the setting and genre, and always the opening hooks the audience. And I believe we do all these conventions in our film opening, making it a successful social realism opening. When researching into social realism films, I looked at Fish Tank as it inspires me, as it is the only social realism film where the main character is a girl. She is very lonely with no friends, and it is also based at home. We was very inspired at the change in genre for the main character, as so we made our main character a girl, and she is very lonely. Although I found Fish Tank an inspiration when helping to build ideas for our film opening, we have changed and developed it. We have based our film opening in school, whereas in Fish Tank it is based at home, showing family problems, whereas we show school and outside bigger world problems. In our film opening, we also show that our character does get friends. She is not always lonely. And in Fish Tank, Mia does not have any friends. We have shown Mia's character type in Scarlett, our main character, as both very troubled teenage girls.